Right, listen, today we've got a pair of hardtail e-bikes and they're almost identical apart from one thing, and that is the wheel size. One is 27.5 and the other is 29. And the thing with hardtails is, for most brands at least, they can be the least expensive bikes in the range. So today we're going to be comparing and contrasting these two wheel sizes. The only thing is, I can't actually do this by myself.
Come on, Steve, let's go! Down the trail!
Yo, wait up! Yo! Whoa! Wow. Hardtails. When's the last time you rode a hardtail?
God knows, must have been, I don't know, 10 years ago, like on a trail like that.
Yeah. So we've got 29 and 27.5. I could instantly feel the speed on that 29-inch wheel.
Yeah.
Obviously, the first thing I felt was it's actually quite rough.
Yeah.
On
yeah.
bike.
Straight away, you're getting hit up your bum all the time going up that trail.
Yeah.
But out the corners, you feel the snap, like the acceleration as soon as you pump in those berms.
Yeah.
Instantaneous power you get out the corner.
It is really direct, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And I think if the track's going to be smooth today, I think it'll be quite good fun.
It will be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, let's head on. Right, we have ourselves here a brace of Haibike S-Duro 10s. One is the Hard 7 in 27.5 and the other is the Hard 9 with 29-inch wheels. Now, as I said, these bikes are almost identical in nearly every respect. The handlebars, the stems, the seats, the gearing, 1140 cassettes on the back of each in Shimano XT, crank lengths. Right, the two main differences are the 27.5 bike has a RockShox Revelation 120mm travel fork, and the 29-inch wheel bike has a RockShox Yari 100mm travel fork. Other differences are the tyres on the 29-inch wheel bike are 2.6s, and on the 27.5 we have 2.8-inch tyres on there. Otherwise, Magura MT5 brake up front, MT4 on the rear, Yamaha PWX motors, that's 500 watt-hour batteries, and of course the 5 different mode adjustments on the PWX system. So what does the componentry detail tell us about these bikes? Well, they're very durable bikes with components that are built for purpose. Now, these are both size large bikes. However, there's a little bit of difference when it comes to the sizing because the 27.5-inch wheel bike is slightly larger than the 29. There's not much in it. 444 plays 448, so it's only 4 mils, not that noticeable. The big differences are actually in the chainstay and the bottom bracket on these bikes. And the chainstay on the 29-inch wheel bike is slightly longer than that on the 27.5. The difference that's going to make on the trailer, I think, is that there's going to be more weight on the front wheel of the 29-inch wheel bike, because what's happening is, because of the longer chainstay, it's pushing your weight slightly further forward. So when you get back on the 27.5 wheel bike, your weight is probably going to be a little more centralized because of that shorter chainstay. However, when it comes to the bottom bracket height, I'm feeling that's where the main difference is going to be, because the bottom bracket on the 29-inch wheel bike is considerably lower by about 20 millimeters compared to the 27.5-inch wheel bike. So that means, I think, that the cornering is going to be better on the 29 compared to the 27.5. So today we have come to a typical trail centre location where the trails tend to be a bit smoother and more well maintained than the stuff you find on natural trails out there in the woods. So all we're going to be doing today, myself and Chris are going to be riding the 29-inch wheel, the 27.5, switching them back to back, seeing the pros and cons. We're not doing any testing. All we're doing is in the woods, having a bit of fun on a pair of hardtail e-bikes. Definitely reminds you to try and find lines on the rough parts of the track. I mean, it's great on the smooth,
yeah,
but you've got to find your lines, right?
Definitely, I can find, on the smooth trails, these feel really good fun. But yeah, with those tech climbs, you really definitely got to pick your lines. You know, there's rocks. These things don't get the grip as much as the full suspension.
What you don't want is the back wheel to be bouncing up and down.
Going up and down. Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
And do you know what? Do you know what they're good for? Is wheelies.
I love a wheelie end. Yeah, manuals as well.
Right.
That's so good. Yeah, it's just way more predictable than having that suspension squash. Straight energy transfer into the back wheel, and you're away.
Do you know what? It's been a long time, Chris, but I'm slowly getting into it.
I'm getting into it too.
Wow, Chris, I spent the first hour on the 29-inch wheel bike. Now I've swapped to the 27.5 and I can find a huge difference. However, before I say the differences, I actually think the feeling on the 29-inch wheel bike is actually faster. However, the cushioning that those bigger tires give is huge. Now, I've gone up from 100mm to 120mm, and that 20mm is giving me that cushioning, plus gone from 2.6 tires on the 29 to 2.8 on the 27.5. So that combined effect gives me more grip in the corners, more grip on the under braking, and more grip on climbing. I think it's a big difference. I don't know, what's your feelings?
Yeah, straight away, as soon as I got on the 29er, kind of felt like it dulling down the ride. It wasn't as lively as the 27.5, but just following you through that little section there, I was actually catching you on the fast rolling stuff. But then out the corners, you're pulling away faster. So.
I think it comes down to feeling versus fact.
Yeah, for sure.
And we know that 27 versus 29, this story's been going on for, I mean, I first did the comparison about 7-8 years ago.
Yeah.
And we know that's an important thing, feeling versus fact. We don't put them against the clock, but we don't need to do that. We're on a pair of hardtails in the woods, ripping the woods, having fun, right?
Yeah.
But let's keep our conclusions, I think, till we get to the bottom of the hill.
Yeah, I want to get some more trail time on this and make a comparison.
Right, Chris, two very different ponies. This pony with 29-inch wheels, I think if you ride in smooth fire roads and single track, it's a good pony to have.
For sure, yeah, I agree totally. But then on the other hand, I think if you're hitting more regular sort of trail centers, not so extreme, but definitely more sort of bumpy trail, features, drops, railing berms, this is the bike to have. Way more fun than me than the 29er. Yes, kind of like a regular trail bike, fun, that thing just feels a bit racy, but I totally agree with you. It's a faster bike. This is more fun.
Chris, so there you go. In the final analysis, I don't think that I'm quite ready for e-bike hardtails just yet. But nevertheless, I think if you can pick up a hardtail e-bike for about £1,500, it is a great introduction to the sport of mountain biking.
Totally agree. Yeah, more people on e-bikes is always a good thing. But personally for me, this bike kind of holds me back a little bit. I'm all about doing bigger jumps, bigger drops, things like that. I just find personally, this is a bit restrictive, harsh ride where it doesn't need to be, the technology we got today.
I guess for you, it's about progression, bigger braking bumps, bigger jumps, bigger mountains, bigger gaps, right?
Yeah. I just find this, as I say, restrictive on my own personal level. As you say, a great way to get into it, but this isn't for me personally. There
you go. E-bike hardtails, 29, 27.5. Lots to think about. Wow, Chris Smith proving that just because it's a hardtail, that style or possibility is not out of reach. Well, the 29 versus 27.5 hardtail e-bike has definitely proved food for thought. Lots to think about and go away and digest. But for now, if you want to see more versus, we've got a e-bike versus downhill bike video, which we did in Italy down here, and the Don doing e-bike versus enduro bike in the same location. Let us know your thoughts on the hardtail e-bikes. Give us a thumbs up if you like the video. And don't forget to subscribe to EMBN if you've not already done so.